Hello, friends. It's good to be with you again. Here we are. Welcome, welcome. The UnApologetic, and today it's the Prodigal Chicken. So, yeah, interesting title, hey? But let me take you on the journey. For those who know me, I have pet chickens, and I very much love my chickens and the little fluff balls. So here's a story about my chickens, and this one's been on my mind for a little while, I guess, because they're characters, I'll tell you, and just made me think of a Bible story, the prodigal son, but from the perspective of a chicken, or maybe it's from the perspective of me. Anyway, let me share about my chickens. So I've had chickens on and off for years since I was a kid as well, and love the little fluff balls, and then they grow into big chickens and give you eggs. Unfortunately, I can't eat the eggs, but hey, everyone else gets to enjoy the eggs from my lovely chickens. But I want to introduce you to one chicken in particular, and that is Ziva chicken. Here is Ziva. She is a delightful little chickie. How old is she now? About 3-4 years old now. 4 years old. Anyway, she's a lovely lady. But she's also a bit of a handful, and she's a troublemaker sometimes. She has an attitude, but also she likes cuddles. So it's good to get the cuddles as well. As you can see there, I sit down on the back step, and she just comes up to me and plonks herself down and likes to have a cuddle with me. So this, my friends, is Ziva. Now, I probably should have, I say she's a bit of a troublemaker and got attitude. I was asking for it, I guess, because I named her Ziva. If anyone watches NCIS, they'll know where I got the name from. And that character in that TV show is a feisty Israeli lady. So yeah, Ziva fits very much the name. So hey, I was asking for it when I named her that. Names have importance, people. Names have importance. Anyway, Ziva chicken, she likes to escape. She likes to jump the fence and go off to the neighbours and scratch in their yard. She likes to jump the front fence and scratch in my front yard and scratch all the dirt onto my veranda. She likes to run across the road. Yes, the chicken did cross the road. Fortunately, there's not many cars there. And scratch in the other neighbour's house. So, I'll be looking for my chicken and call out to her, and oh, look, she's over there. Okay. The neighbours haven't complained yet. So, but then, you know what? Most of the time she comes running back. Now, you might think, well, why don't you clip her wings? I have tried that previously, but somehow she still manages to get over because on my side the fence is low, and I don't want to clip her wings because the other side, the fence is higher to get to, and she can't get back all the time. So when she jumps the front fence, yes, she can't get back. Now, some time ago, she actually went missing for, a week, 2 weeks maybe. I knew she was around because I'd see different scratching places, and I'd put out some food and water out the front so at least she'd have something, and I'd see that being eaten. So I knew she was there somewhere, but thank goodness a fox didn't get her. But I think she was broody that time and had a little clutch of eggs somewhere under a bush in the neighbour's yard. Who knows? Maybe they discovered eggs and go, what on earth are these doing here? Anyway, she is a character, let me tell you. But when she jumps the fence, she can't get back. So most of the time, once she's finished scratching around and has her fun, I'll try and put her back as soon as I can when I see her. But if she doesn't want to go back, she is not going back. She will run away from me. She'll hide under a bush in the big bushes so I can't reach her. And she'll squawk at me with her little... I think, if chickens could swear, she'd be swearing at me, naughty girl. But yes, this chicken has attitude. Anyway, all that to say, she's a character, but I love her to bits. She's still just a sweetie. She'll do all this stuff and be so annoying and give me attitude, but when she comes back and gives me those cuddles, like in that picture, let me bring it up again. My heart just melts. Anyway, one time she went missing and I was going out for dinner. So I wanted to put the chickens away a bit early. The others, they were good girls this time, so I fed them their dinner. They ran into the coop because they were hungry, and I shut the door. But she was nowhere to be found. Went out the front, couldn't find her. Yelled out, Ziva, Ziva, here, chicken. Couldn't find her. She would not come. So I had to go out without putting her back into her coop. I was a little worried because I don't like to leave her out or the chickens coop open when it gets dark because there are foxes around. Even though the foxes can come in the day too, hey? But anyway, went out to dinner and, well, I'll just have to put my chicken away later and hope that I can find her in the dark. And if you notice in the photos, she is mostly black. She is hard to find in the dark. Anyway, so I get back from dinner, put my stuff inside, get my torch, go out to look for this chicken. Looking out, was she in the backyard? Maybe she wasn't in the front like I thought. Look around, go look under some bushes in the front, all the bushes. I've got lots of bushes. Anyway, can't find her anywhere. I'm getting a little worried now because I don't want her to be out the whole night. Coming back and up to the door, where do I see her? But alongside the veranda, sitting on my bedroom windowsill. And she was just waiting there, perched, roosting, going to sleep, waiting for Mummy to come home to put her to bed because she knew where my bedroom was. They're smart. Chickens are really, really smart, let me tell you. But she knew that was the place that I would be, and she was ready to go home. So, can you see the connections to the story of the prodigal son? If you know the story, you'll probably know the connections. But if you don't know the story, let me just quickly recap. So, Jesus told a parable, and you can find it in Luke 15:11 to 32. Luke 15:11. So, Jesus tells the parable, the story that there was a man who had two sons. And the youngest son said, Dad, I want my inheritance now. Give it to me. And then he got his inheritance. He went off on his own, spent all his money on, what does it actually say here? It says, in dissolute living. So he squandered it on, as you might say, just all the bad stuff that you get up to, all the sin, all the debauchery, all of that sort of thing. And he soon ran out of money. And then there was a famine that took place. So he had no money, had nothing to eat, nowhere to go. And he got a job as a pig farmer. Now, if you know anything about the Jewish tradition, pigs are unclean animals. So to get a job as a pig farmer was the lowest of the low. And he was so low that he was considering eating the pig's food. It would be like me eating the chicken scraps, but worse. But no. And anyway, he goes, my father's servants have better luck than me. So he goes back to his father. Now there's different interpretations of whether he was truly repentant there or whether he was just angling again to get into his dad's good graces, but he wasn't really repentant, which makes this story even more deep. But let's not get into that one this time. That's another issue. But if you can imagine the father, anyway, he goes back to his father, and the father sees him from a long way off, runs to him, and the son's about to give him this big speech, but the father goes, big hug, Yes, he celebrates. My son has come home. What does he say? When the son's going to give his speeches, I've sinned against you. I've sinned against heaven. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father says to his slaves, quickly bring out a robe, the best one. Put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. And get the fatted calf and kill it. And let us eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to celebrate. So, can you see the parallels here? Yes, no, maybe? Because it's not, I've heard it shared many times with this story that it's not actually the story of the prodigal son, but it's actually a story about the father. And in so many ways, that is so true. Because whether the son was really repentant or not, whether he was trying to angle for just getting back so he didn't have to eat pig slop, whether he didn't come back at all, well, it's not actually about that, because it was about the father who, let me see if I can find that verse. So he set off and went to his father. This is verse 20. But while he was still far off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. He ran and put his arms around him and kissed him. My friends, just like the prodigal father, I kind of felt the same way, maybe in a smaller scale, about my chicken. Especially that time when I thought my chicken had gone for a week or two. I didn't know if it was dead. I didn't know if it was alive, but it finally came back. I was so happy. And oh my gosh, that time when I went out to dinner, came back and my chicken was sitting on my windowsill because it knew where I was going to be. It knew the place, just like the prodigal son knew the father had a place for him. Whether he was repentant or not, he knew there was a place for him in his father's house. Ziva Chicken knew that I was the place to come back to. And yes, that is, it just, I was like, oh my gosh, my chicken. I hugged and kind of kissed my chicken too. I'll admit it. And Chevy, yes, I'm just reading your comments. May we all be filled with compassion. Absolutely. And it wasn't even something like, I'll tell you what, this chicken also bites me sometimes. She gets stroppy and bites me, and it hurts, it bruises, it leaves a mark. But at those moments when I just see her come back to me and give me cuddles, I don't care. And even in those moments where she is being a pain in the butt, she's still my chicken. And so I want to tell you guys that just like I love my chicken, God loves us even more. How much more does he love us? If I can love a chicken, how much more can our Creator love us? Whether we're off in the pig pen, whether we're coming back on the road, trying to get back into our Father's house without being repentant, or whether we are truly repentant, or whether we're like the older son who stayed and helped his father and served his father without taking the inheritance. God loves us equally. And so I just want to leave that with that thought with you. A little bit of a different perspective of that one, but maybe you've got pets, maybe you've got kids, very different, but in the same time, there's a few little similarities that we call them our fur babies, or for me, feather babies for a reason, right? But we love them, right? We love them whether they're acting up or not. We love them whether they've run off and we don't know where they are, or whether they're sitting on our knees between our feet, giving us cuddles. So, excuse me, I'm going there. I just want to leave you with that thought. It says in 1 John 3 verse 1, and this is one of my favorite verses, how great a love the Father has given that we should be called children of God. How great a love the Father has given. And this is given in the past with future effects. So he gave back then, and it still applies today. No if, buts, or maybe there. That we should be called children of God. Can you think about that one for a moment, guys? Children of God. How amazing is that? So just like my chicken came back to me and knew the chicken knew my chicken knew the safe space. God is a safe space for you. He is ever loving, ever compassionate, ever waiting, watching for you just to come back into his arms. So my friends, wherever you are in life at the moment, know that God loves you, that he cares for you, and he just wants to embrace you. He loves you so much. And also, just to continue on the chicken bird analogy, it says in Psalm 91 that he covers us with his wings and his feathers, just like those little chickens snuggling under Mama Hen, that safe spot. I hope you can imagine yourself as a little baby chick covered under Mama Hen's wings, because God loves you, he is covering you. No matter what you do, no matter where you are, no matter who you are, he is just waiting for you to snuggle in to his soft, snuggly feathers. So love you guys. Have an awesome week. May you hide under the shadow of his wings.